Somewhere at this moment, footsteps can be heard walking down the street. The footsteps come to a halt when they reach a small house. Then a knock is heard upon the door. The door is opened by a person with a fearful expression on his face. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests. Those were the opening lines from a speech my father gave in 1952. Dad still has the handwritten script from that speech, and he often shows it to me and describes how he delivered that speech to his speech class at Dunwoody Institute in Minneapolis. Dad enrolled in that trade school in the electrician program after being discharged from the Marine Corps and after working as a truck driver for a couple of years. He knew that more education was the way to more opportunity. Now, Dad is sagacious, but other than Dunwoody, he only went to school through the 8th grade, having to start working to help the family during the Great Depression. So this morning, I want to take you back in time to 1952. Back before my dad took his first selfie with my wife. Back before my mom and dad got married. Back to when Dad was a recently discharged Marine. And back before the Cold War, when Joseph Stalin was the leader of the Soviet Union, and people routinely disappeared in that country. So let's see what my dad had to say to his speech class. Somewhere at this moment, footsteps can be heard walking down the street. The footsteps come to a halt when they reach a small house. Then a knock is heard upon the door. The door is opened by a person with a fearful expression on his face as he sees his uniformed visitors. The visitors speak, and he is asked to come along. He looks once more at his loved ones, knowing quite well that he may possibly never see them again. The scene has been duplicated many, many times in the countries ruled by the communists. This is their version of justice. It is in sharp contrast to the trial by jury, which is one of the privileges that we have as American citizens. How many of us stop to think, though, of the countless privileges that go along with our American citizenship? To us, these things are just taken for granted in our everyday mode of living. Let us stop for a moment and think what being an American citizen means to us. The principle of free speech is one. Were I in a communist-ruled country, I would not be able to stand here and tell you what I want to. I would have to say what somebody would tell me to say. I can express myself without the fear of being prosecuted, with death possibly as the punishment. The right of freedom of speech, in my estimation, is the greatest of assets in being an American. We have the privilege of helping to choose our government. We can vote for whoever we feel is qualified to be our representative in the Congress. How many of us abuse this privilege, though? Far too many of us are too lax when it comes to election time. In this country, there is no one who can just say, "See, I'm the leader now. You do as I want you to." And if we don't like the way our government is running ourselves, we can express ourselves without the fear of footsteps approaching our house. This country gives to every youth the opportunity to obtain an education. You and I, right now, are exercising this privilege by choosing our desired profession and attending a school to learn it. The youth of this country need not undergo a forced indoctrination in the schools, as they often have in the Iron Curtain countries. Youths of all different races have equal opportunities to assure themselves a place in the future of America. The right to worship our gods is another priceless heritage that we have as an American. Jews, Protestants, Catholics, and others can go to church and worship as they please without the fear of reprisals from the government. Our pastors, priests, or rabbis need not fear the prisons that they have often occupied in the countries ruled by the Reds. Our vast farmlands belong to the people. What they produce is their own and not part of the state. The industry of America belongs to the people. They can go to work at a certain hour and quit at a certain hour. There's nobody standing over them with a whip telling them how much they have to produce while they are working. Our standards of living are wonderful compared to the people who live in the Iron Curtain countries. We can own our own homes, drive around in new automobiles, watch television, listen to the radio, besides the many other things that we consider routine in our daily life. I wonder how many people in Russian-ruled countries have those same privileges. This country of ours is indeed a wonderful place to live. It gives to every man his chance. To every man, regardless of his faith or race, his shining opportunity. To every man, the right to live, to work, to be himself, and to become whatever his manhood and his vision can combine to make him. This, my friend, is the promise of our American citizenship. That was Dad's speech 64 years ago. Pretty much word for word. He shared his strong pride in his country and its privileges, and he still holds those beliefs today. Some may call him old-fashioned. I'd call him patriotic, independent, free. Dad graduated from Dunwoody and worked as an electrician. He had the chance to go to New York to work for a little company called International Business Machines. But instead he chose to marry my mom and take over her dad's farm. They farmed for 50 years, raised 7 kids, sent them all to college, and at age 90, the man that I love and respect above all men still enjoys his freedoms of religion, of speech, and his right to vote. And that sure beats footsteps in the street and a knock on the door. Mr. Toastmaster.